What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Glorious Nightmares podcast, live from Frog City Studios.
We're here.
I'm Adam Hlavik, joined, of course, by Cameron Rice.
Hello.
How you doing, man?
Good. Doing pretty good. It's been 2 weeks.
It has been.
LA is under siege. We did not, obviously, when those episodes came out, LA was not under siege, and now it is.
Yeah.
Usually rocking in LA hat anyway. So I don't know, but yeah, if anybody sees this, we're fine. Fuck ice.
Yeah, absolutely. I know.
Let's not mix it up.
That's the crazy thing is, yeah, I didn't even think about that, but people may not know this, but we record 2 episodes every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So a lot happened.
Yeah.
Between the last couple
Real
episodes.
world horror.
Dude, crazy. Absolutely insane. It is nuts to just watch like what's going on.
Yeah.
It's unreal.
Yeah, it was crazy because like our last episode we recorded with Andy, and then that weekend was when we were downtown filming for fandom and stuff like that. And it was City Hall a couple blocks away where a lot of this stuff was happening. But that was the funny thing is like us being downtown, working down there. And it's like, no, this whole like story of like Los Angeles is the opening of Demolition Man.
Yeah.
It's crazy out there. No. It's a good little spin if you don't live here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, and I feel like there's so many things that happen in LA that if you're just consuming it through the news, it is never an accurate representation of what's actually happening.
No.
When you're a resident and you go to these places and you realize that's not at all what's going on. What the hell are people talking about?
No, it's crazy. But yeah, so thankfully, if you're out there and you were in those streets, hopefully you're okay. Be careful out there. But yeah, hopefully this could be a little respite.
Yeah.
But at the same time, not trying to. I'm going to say I know. I'm not going to say friends with.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly use this as an opportunity to be like, had to evacuate LA. Don't worry, still editing though. I'm like, what a way to loop in your horse shit into some real world catastrophes. What the fuck?
Jesus. Well, I'm glad you brought it up because honestly, it like completely slipped my brain.
Yeah, I mean, there was a part. I almost hit up the boys here to be like, ooh, or even you to be like, ooh, should we record like a little, even like if it's an iPhone video, to be like, this was recorded prior to. Blah, blah, blah. And look, there might be people who are like, I don't want to hear about this stuff, and blah, blah. But at the same time, I'm like,
it's real life, man. This is real life.
Horror is very political. We've talked about that.
Oh my god.
Despite what some filmmakers who want to terrify would have you think.
Yeah. Yep. 1000%.
Horror is a very political thing.
Yep.
But all that said, kicking off, we usually start off with our week in horror.
Mm-hmm.
That's maybe not real world related. So, what about you? What'd you do?
Well, and it's funny you bring that up because I think a part of it for me was why it kind of slipped my brain was because I was actually out of town for 3 days last week.
That's right.
I went to Big Bear for my birthday. My girlfriend surprised me with an amazing trip. I need to send you the listing
Mushrooms,
for this.
baby.
Even better. I have to send you the listing. My girlfriend booked this Airbnb experience in Big Bear, and it's a fully themed horror Airbnb. It was unbelievable. So the whole story and the whole idea and concept, and I won't give too much away because I feel like if you have the ability to go up there to experience it, you should.
Oh, yeah.
But the basic premise is that it's a mother and son who lived in this Airbnb, and they started getting into some witchcraftiness, and then they disappear. So there's a lot of really fun stuff in there, but they have.
I love an Airbnb with lore.
Yeah, no, I was shocked. I was like, holy shit, there's a whole story, and they have like fake pictures of the mother and the son like throughout the house and everything. So you really feel like you're living in this house that was once occupied by these two people, and
that's wild.
They have sound effects and visual effects that happen throughout the house that you can turn on and off. They have phones that have voicemails on them that will be from neighbors like, hey, I heard lights and I'm just making sure you're good. I haven't seen you in a few days, blah, blah, blah. And then the son's room is completely horror themed. So on the walls, they've got Friday the 13th posters, Halloween posters, shelving with like memorabilia, VHS tapes, all kinds of stuff. And then they had one button that you would push and it would start to play music and disco lighting. So all of a sudden you push it, thriller theme, Halloween theme, Friday the 13th theme, all these like horror classic
I like that
songs.
a lot.
Yeah. really, really cool. And the bathroom was completely themed to the Overlook Hotel bathroom from The Shining.
Oh, that kind of like red and white.
It's the teal bathroom.
Oh, the
where
teal
he sees
bathroom.
the
Okay.
corpse. Yeah.
I was wondering if it was the Grady.
Yeah.
Wash your hands.
So that would have been awesome too, though. But yeah, really, really cool. They even have an axe on the door with a hinge, so you can open the hinge and it looks like the cutout when Jack knocks the door down.
I wouldn't even know. I'd be curious how she found it even. Like, I wouldn't even know how to look for that.
She told me that she found it. She was scrolling through Instagram, and I guess an ad for it had popped up.
I'll do it.
And she was like, oh, this is not going to be anywhere close enough for us to go. And then it said Big Bear, and she was like, booking immediately.
I was wondering, yeah, because like me and my, there's just, it's the different algorithms. Me and my girlfriend often get like, here's a cute little spot you can go for this and have a nice little breakfast. And we're like, ooh, cool, new breakfast place.
I know.
Always in Pasadena or Eagle Rock.
Yeah. We've got some of those too. So I don't know. Yeah, like I don't know exactly like what she had been looking up prior to, or maybe I was sending her things that were horror related.
Right.
We actually do a lot of the time share if we find like a horror themed tiki bar or restaurant or like other Airbnbs or hotel type of places.
Right.
We do share them to each other on DM. So that could have been one of the reasons why that thing ended up in her feed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
that makes sense.
It was really cool. And the thing that I love, under the fireplace was a Blu-ray player, and they actually had.
That's good, because sometimes you'll go to Airbnbs
Yeah.
and it is just a Roku stick.
Yeah, and they had the Roku, and thankfully the internet was good, so if we wanted to stream something, it was fine. But sometimes that's not the case, and you're like, cool, this is just buffering the whole time. This really sucks. But they had a whole binder with, I would say, maybe like 15 movies. So we ended up watching a few of them. I got to show her some stuff. So that's primarily where my This Week in Horror really like came from, because we ended up watching, I think, 5 movies. We watched Copycat, which I'd never seen before.
Yep, Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah, and Holly Hunter, who I didn't even recognize.
Yep.
That was
90s thriller.
Yeah, 90s thriller, so great. And we had a really fun time watching that. Then I watched, the next morning for breakfast, I watched Halloween, because I had to. You just have to.
Got it.
Then I showed her A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, the original?
She thought she had seen it and knew what it was about, and we're watching it, and every 5 seconds, what the fuck? What?
So what?
This movie is crazy.
Was she just thinking through osmosis she had seen it?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
And she's probably seen like a couple clips, just on TV and all that sort of stuff.
Sure.
She was so taken aback by that film, and she was like, this movie is so good and so terrifying and holds up so well. So I was happy.
Awesome.
I was happy that she really, really enjoyed it.
That's killer.
Yeah.
That's really fun. So what were the other movies, even if they weren't horror?
Misery.
Okay.
Which I hadn't seen in a really, really long time.
Good cabin watch.
Yeah, good cabin watch. And I didn't do this at the cabin, but when I came home, I watched Friday the 13th Part 3 in 3D. That Shout Factory remaster.
Oh, yeah.
Good. It's so good.
It's so good.
The 3D is bonkers.
The one where Jason sexually assaults somebody?
Yeah.
Question mark? I'm not trying to make light of it. It's open to interpretation, I guess.
I think he does.
Yeah. It's weird. Three. I mean, the big thing about 3 is that's where he gets the mask.
Yep.
But there's some shit in 3 where you're also just like, what?
I know. And there's some characters that you're like, huh?
Oh yeah. What a film.
Yeah.
Film. The big thing is the 3D eyeball.
Dude,
that's
and then in the very, very beginning, where he goes to where that family has like that little market, and they have the rabbits in the kennel, and he goes in and he sees that snake, and the snake comes at camera. Holy shit. It's great.
Oh yeah.
It's really good. Yeah. I know like not a lot of people are probably going to have a chance to experience that movie in 3D, but if it ever comes out in 3D near you, you should watch it.
Every once in a while, like a revival house will show it.
Yeah. One of these days, I'm going to just need to bring my projector screen. We'll just have to watch it here.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great.
That'd
be really good.
So fun. It's a good time.
Anything else for your week?
I think that's... Oh, I did see 28 Years Later.
Okay.
But we're going to table that for the next episode. We'll talk about it, because you haven't had a chance to see it yet.
I've not had a chance to see it yet.
So I want us to be able to have a conversation about it. So if you want my thoughts, it's on my Instagram. I posted a little like 90-second review, but I'm excited to get into it next week on and just talk about spoilers and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
As for my week, so a couple of things. Went and saw Phantom of the Paradise, the Brian De Palma Phantom of the Opera rock musical.
Interesting.
From the 70s. I love that movie. It is fantastic. It'll probably be homework at some point.
Cool. I've never seen it.
And yeah, we watched it at the Pack Theater, which is the comedy theater I do some comedy stuff at. Elizabeth, our friend Elizabeth, who will probably be a guest at some point. She was showing it. She had not seen it before. And it's funny, the show is sort of like, we're going to Mystery Science Theater, take a bad movie, da, da, da. And the person she does the show with, he had actually programmed it. And I said, like, this movie's not really bad. I mean, it works in that kind of midnight movie. It's insane fashion.
Right.
But it's not a bad movie. And I guess whether my needling got the message across before, because when they did the announcement of like, hey, everybody, welcome to the show. We're going to be watching this tonight. They were like, this isn't a particularly bad film. It's a wild film.
You had a little bit of influence there.
And I'm like, but no, Phantom of the Paradise rocks. It's a really cool soundtrack. It's Paul Williams, who, for those who don't know the name, Paul Williams wrote for the Carpenters. But his big thing that I think a lot of people know is he wrote the music for the Muppet movie.
Oh, okay.
So he has the Oscar for Rainbow Connection. He also plays the villain in the movie.
Oh, nice.
Phantom of the Paradise. It's Brian De Palma 2 years before Carrie.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it's right before he becomes like a bigger, at that point, A-list director.
Yeah.
And so it's that kind of fun thing where you're watching someone where like the edges are a little rough and things like that, but in a great way. Not to say it's a cheap movie by any means, but it's like, you can tell the difference between like, you're making this, you wrote this is your thing. And then like you were doing an adaptation from a studio that's like, here you go. But it rocks. It's so good. If you've never seen Phantom of the Paradise, I highly recommend on that one. And then horror adjacent. So I did not get to see 28 years later because last night I went and saw Life of Chuck.
Yeah.
Mike Flanagan directed based on a Stephen King short story. But this is more of a life-affirming Stephen King, even though there actually are some like spooky elements in it.
Yeah.
This is more, it's not quite Shawshank, but I think it's that sort of, it's really Stand By Me.
Family.
Yes. Stand By Me, where it's like Stand By Me, it's about a dead body and all this other stuff, but there's really about these relationships. Life of Chuck is told in a nonlinear fashion. It stars Tom Hiddleston, Mark Hamill, Jacob Tremblay, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Karen Gillan. Really, really had a great time with it. It's Neon put it out. I don't know if it's doing as well as I would want it to. It seems like it's disappearing pretty quickly from theaters. I don't know if summer was the time to release this one. Maybe it should have been
like a
more
Thanksgiving movie, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. But if you're able to go see it, it is, and this is the thing about Stephen King, on top of being, the master of horror, he's also, there can be things I think that people can see as a little schmaltzy. I like that stuff, but I can also understand if some people are like, all right, everyone's sweet. But I like it a lot. And I think it's very interesting to see Flanagan doing something which again has creepier elements, but it's mostly a drama. And he's got a lot of his Flanagan players in there, which is great.
Yeah.
Some of the names we mentioned had worked with him before, as well as his wife, Kate Siegel, and
is Rahul Kohli in it?
Yes. Yep. Small part in that. And that's always the fun thing about Flanagan is seeing like who will have like a major part and then who will be like one line in one scene.
Yeah.
And then in the next movie, there's a lead.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing I love about Mike. I like that with most directors.
Yes.
But especially directors that I really feel like I get a lot out of their movies. Mike Flanagan is one of those directors that every time I watch something from him, whether it's a movie or a show, honestly, like Dr. Sleep for me, that was my big introduction to Mike Flanagan. I saw that before I even saw Hill House.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. So that was really telling because I watched it and I went, oh man, if this is how all of his stuff is that I haven't seen yet, then I think this guy's gonna become like a top tier go-to for me.
Because I had seen Hill House and Gerald's Game.
Okay.
The two Netflix. And so when it was like, oh, he's doing Dr. Sleep, because I had read Dr. Sleep. And so it was very like, oh, how is this gonna, because I remember when, it was announced, he's doing Dr. Sleep. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And having read the book, King being very open about not loving the Kubrick film.
Right.
So when the trailer came out and there was a lot of Kubrick film in there, I was like, whoa.
Yeah. I remember that too. And I also was trying to figure out like, does that mean that if Jack Torrance shows up, will he be like some de-aged Jack Nicholson?
There was rumors
not.
for a while of like,
Yeah.
did he secretly come in and film a thing?
Right,
and this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
Spoilers,
I'm happy that it was
spoilers
Henry
for those
Thomas.
yeah, it's not. The makeup though is very good.
Unbelievable, because as soon as Jack Torrance shows up, I couldn't figure out who that was.
Yeah.
Because I was like, that looks just like young Jack Nicholson, which now I'm thinking about, I'm like, you could have got Ray Nicholson to play it, and that would have been pretty amazing.
Well, that time I think he only would have been like, what, 18?
Yeah, he would have been pretty young. But yeah, I was watching that, I'm going like, who the hell is that? It took probably like a good 3, almost to the end of that sequence, where I was like, oh my God, that's Henry Thomas. And then Henry Thomas has also kind of become a little bit of a staple in the Mike Flanagan stuff because he's in Hill House. And
he's in Hill House, Gerald's Game. Did you watch
what's the other?
Follow House of Usher?
I have not watched that yet.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
He's also, what's the sequel? It's not necessarily a sequel series to Hill House.
The Haunting of Bly Manor, which I also loved. I'm very excited to see now because Carrie, we had talked about, he just put out photos that they're shooting right now.
Just started, yeah.
We know he's working on Dark Tower.
And The Exorcist.
That's crazy.
Where is this man getting the time?
And Clayface.
Yeah, which he's not directing it, but he did write the script for it. So like, that's just another thing on his plate. I'm like, that's nuts.
We got to get him in here. He's in Pasadena.
Oh, dude, if Mike Flanagan, if you want to come on this show, I'll do anything. I'll do anything.
I won't promise that, but it'd be very nice. It'd be very nice to talk to you.
Yeah. But I think that's what is so interesting to me about the rollout for Life of Chuck, because that movie also had a hard time getting distribution.
Which is weird because at TIFF it won the People's Choice.
And that to me is what is so odd. I'm like, wait a minute. If Mike Flanagan has written and directed all of these bangers, one after the other, after the other, after the other, how is someone not like pulling up a truck of money and going, we'll take it?
It might be a case of just like it might have been harder to market because the trailers do sell the movie, but I will say my girlfriend's a big Mike Flanagan fan. She was very excited for it, and she walked out. She loved it, but she did walk out going like, "Oh, the first act, I was like, oh, this wasn't the movie I thought it was gonna be."
Yeah,
and so it might have just been a marketing
interesting,
which is sad, but that's how a lot of like these industry things work now. Is like, why don't we sell it to a TikTok audience?
Yeah, and as of this recording,
can we put the characters from Life of Chuck in Fortnite?
How do we make a Funko out of this? You're like, oh man, come on.
Like, well, it's not appropriate.
It's interesting because we actually have already seen, I watched on Heroes Reforged, we watched all of Ironheart. And that show has had essentially no advertising. And it's a huge Marvel television series.
Yeah.
And we watched the show and I was like,
Is it, this is my ignorance because you're right. Is it out now?
It comes out June 24th.
Okay, I was going to be like, are there episodes I should go home and watch right now?
So the day that this episode drops, it will have come out.
Okay.
So it's out now. It's not the show that I was expecting.
Yeah.
And the trailers, I feel like, are unable to kind of capture exactly what the show is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's also because if you do, you might give too much away.
What's that funny thing, though? Because, like, okay, so talking about larger discussion about giving things away.
Yeah.
And I might have even mentioned this on an episode prior.
Yeah.
Man, trailers always gave things away.
All the time.
You watch movies from, like, the 50s, and it's like, well, these two fall in love, and then the trailers, they're kissing.
They
I'm
do.
like, yeah, they do. Like, that's the last shot of the movie.
Yep.
Like, I love people are like, trailers give away too much now. And I'm like, they always did.
Nothing new.
There was never, and don't get me wrong, there's artistry in trailers. There are some trailers where you're like, ooh, that is mysterious. That's different. I don't know what this is really about. And us as geeks are like all about it. And then that movie bombs.
Yeah. The more artistic the trailer, usually the worse it does.
Like, there's something to be said about, like, because I've heard some people say about Sinners.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's a lot in the trailer from the third act. Why would they give that away? Sinners now just passed the most successful original horror release of all time now.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's something to be said, like, I understand, like, the no spoilers. There's something to be said about marketing where it's like, I'm not about, give away the twist.
Right.
But there is something about putting some shit in the third act that makes people go, ooh, that looks cool.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, they'll be like, I wish I didn't know that was happening.
Right.
Because then I was sitting and waiting. I'm like, yeah, but they got your money.
Yeah, you were already there.
Yeah.
You're sitting there.
And now
joke's on you.
And now the studio can go to that director and go, hey, great. It
What else
made
you
money.
got?
What else do you have?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's part of the dirty secret about, like, you can make an esoteric, cool trailer. And then people are like, oh, I don't know what this movie's about.
Oh, it's weird.
That's really cool. And then,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously there's certainly like A24, all their trailers tend to be fairly esoteric.
Yeah.
And those work.
Yeah.
I think A24 now has really positioned themselves to be in a spot where they can do otter trailers.
They
And people
can,
are
and,
like,
I think,
"Ooh."
yeah, and I think a lot of it also just comes down to the branding. Like they have that brand recognition now. They're obviously not a Disney or a Marvel or Star
No,
Wars.
yeah, and that's the other difference. Their budgets are not reaching 200, 300 million per film.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a little bit of leniency there, I feel like. But yeah, and I think, because I was one of those people who was like, oh man, that's a kind of a bummer that I know what Sinners is about. But then I watched the movie and I was like, you know what? It took away nothing from the experience. Like it had no negative impact on my experience of the film.
Because I've heard some people definitely say like, oh man, could you imagine if you were in the theater and you didn't know about the vampires and it was just a movie about blues and suddenly there's vampires? Your mind would be blown. I'm like, yeah, and you'd be alone in that theater. I'm sorry to say. It'd be you.
Oh my God.
Your friend you dragged and one old person.
Oh my God. And the old person would be going, what?
Yeah, they'd leave during the vampire sequence.
Oh man. That's so true. That's unfortunate. Yeah, it's sad but true. And the thing that sucks is like it doesn't matter that Ryan Coogler did Black Panther and Fruitvale Station and Creed.
Yeah.
It's same outcome, because I think on a general like global scale, he's a name in like fandom communities, but general audiences may not necessarily know that it's the same director who did Black Panther and Creed and da-da-da-da-da.
But that's also why there's an interesting discussion about, I think it might have been a Twitter thing, but some people were like, who, especially with the new Mission Impossible, who are the movie stars today? And there was a lot of people who were like, oh, Michael Jordan might be close. And people are like, no, he's there. He's there. Like he was in $1 billion movie with Black Panther.
Right.
He
Twice
carries the Creed series.
Yeah.
They sold Sinners on being like, there's 2 of him. I'm like, at that point, if you're not a movie star, what are we talking about?
Yeah, who are you?
Like,
What do you gotta do?
It's that weird thing where I'm like, no, he is.
Yeah.
Like, and I think Ryan Coogler knows it, and I think the marketing knew it as well. No, it's that funny. And speaking of trailers, so a little bit in the news. I know we don't usually do news talk, but I think this one that Blumhouse is doing Saw, and it's going back to Juan and Wanell.
Yeah.
And what interests me about that is on top of the fact that the first Saw was, a $1 million budget kind of a thing.
Yeah.
The thing I remember, because this was that era of like the NC7, the trailer, the red band trailer, the band trailer.
Yeah.
And I just remember it's the sequence with Shawnee Smith trying to get the bear trap off. And just these words being like, how fucked up is this? And I'm like, well, you got my money. Like,
oh, man.
That was a trailer where it was just like, that worked.
Yeah.
I got so many butts in seats because I don't know how many people saw the how fucked up is this trailer, but just showing the opening scene with the bear trap made enough people go like, what the fuck? I'm in. And that's like, that was able to be like esoteric enough where you're like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't have to get into the whole thing. Like, rewatching the Saw teaser, I think it was just the teaser, was the bear trap sequence. I don't think they got into whole like, his name's Jigsaw. He's blah, 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 blah. Here's the plot. Here's
Fuck
the
the
thing.
lore.
Yeah. I think it was just like, here's a bear trap. And people were like, I'm in.
Yeah. Saw did a pretty good job sometimes being pretty creative. Like I remember and this was in the film era, I think, when Saw 3 came out. I think it was Saw 3. And they sent out all the trailers to different cities. And it was like, hello, Los Angeles, you want to play a game? Hello, San Diego, you want to play a game? I was like, that's really smart. That really fucks with people.
Saw, I'm very interested with Blumhouse getting Saw with the original creators coming back. I don't know. I haven't read the full press release. I don't know what capacity they're back. I don't know if it's just like, we're going to we're going to be the Feiges of the Sawverse.
Right. Well, and it's also an interesting deal because I guess the way that, and I also have not read all the details of it, but it's not like a full ownership.
No, Lionsgate will still maintain
some of it, right?
It sounds like it's a little bit like the Halloween deal, where the Akkad family will still like, we own Halloween, but you get to do what you want with it for a little bit.
Got it. So it's, so it is, they do say it's half ownership, but it almost sounds like a perma licensing deal.
Well, it sounds like, I think there's a similar thing with The Exorcist a little bit, right? I believe.
Yeah, because Blumhouse is also now doing
they did the beginner.
They did the David Gordon Green one. Is Mike, and I don't remember, I think Mike Flanagan is doing his Exorcist movies.
Now, whether or not Blumhouse is still involved with that, but Universal is.
Oh, Universal, that's right.
But I think that was a big thing. But yeah, but what a time. What a time we're living in. And that's why I hate to say it. Like, trust me, I would love if everybody who went to the movies was like me, but was like me in that, like, you can watch a bit of a trailer and be like, oh, who made that? This guy? I like their movies. I'm going to go.
Totally.
But sadly, most audiences, no, they have to be sold. They have to be like, look, this is what happened. Like, similar to Captain America, people are like, why did they reveal the third Hulk? And I'm like, what else would the trailer have been?
Literally. Like, that's the crux of the whole movie. If you don't put the Red Hulk in the trailer, why are you going?
Yeah.
I don't think that flying sequence with all the ships is enough for you to be like, ooh, I want to go.
Yeah,
No,
and
it's not.
sadly, we went over the mountain to Marvel just had to say Marvel and people would go.
Yeah.
Like, we're over that mountain now.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so, I don't know. Interesting time.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, I'm curious to see like where some of this stuff goes with these franchises. Like, I have fallen off the Saw train. I haven't seen.
Saw 10 was good.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay. I haven't seen one, I think, since 7.
I think that's fair. Spiral, I like Spiral. I'm one of the
Mm-hmm.
few people who like Spiral. I don't love Spiral. Like, if they were to be like, we're ignoring Spiral moving forward, I'd be like, okay, I'm not going to be like, no! Don't ignore that one.
Yeah.
But no, 10 was good. 10 rocked.
Okay.
Because they finally made Jigsaw the hero.
Oh.
And it's him taking out insurance company
Are you?
owners.
Oh, really?
Weirdly
God damn
prescient.
it. All right, I gotta
Weirdly,
watch this now.
well, not sorry. It's insurance company and then doctors who lied.
Oh, well, now I'm intrigued. Well, now you got me. I don't even remember that.
They pushed John Kramer as like he's the lead.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, now I'm intrigued. All right. God damn it. Now I'm in.
She get the screenwriter. The screenwriter follows me on Twitter.
Oh really?
And Instagram. I think Josh. Josh, I can't remember your last name right now. And I'm so sorry. Steve is willing to come in and talk Saw with us.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
The last couple.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the thing that surprised me about Saw was kind of like the more you learned about Jigsaw, you were like, oh, you don't love what he's doing, but you're like, kind of get it.
I kind of get it. No, the funny, I love that Saw is the series with like the most comic book like continuity.
Totally.
Where it's like, this guy is his princess.
Yeah. Yeah. You're like, oh, okay, sure, why not?
And you're like, who's that? They were in Saw 4. Yeah. Oh.
The last scene of that movie.
You're
what?
like, oh, that's right.
Yeah. That'll be interesting where that goes, though.
But speaking of series, talking about series, Patreon plug time, everybody.
Oh,
Our
yeah,
Patreon is up.
dude.
It is live. We are very excited. People have already started jumping on, and we
Yes,
appreciate
thank you.
that. For those who don't know the Patreon, getting in there, you're able to jump into the Discord where we will be having conversations. That's already been happening. We've been talking with some people in the Discord about what our homework is. So getting deeper in there with you guys. And we're going to do special episodes. One of the special episodes is, doing reviews or not. This is not a watch along. We might do watch alongs down the road, but this is going to be a review that you can only get on Patreon. They will only be Patreon exclusive episodes. We are going to do a review of the Dead trilogy, the original Romero, Night, Dawn, Day. We're going to be doing that. If you want to make sure you get that, join the Patreon. We have 3 tiers right now. We got some stretch goals in mind. There's things I want to talk to the behind the scenes boys here about, seeing if there's certain things we can accomplish. But those things will only be able to get unlocked via Patreon or be behind the Patreon wall. Don't worry, those shows not going to go anywhere. If you can't, obviously, we're living in hard times, baby.
Absolutely.
But if you are able to support, it means a lot. That also helps keep the show going. It allows us to film in this awesome space, because otherwise we'd probably just be doing this over Zoom with staticky,
I know, and that's
bad shots.
And we did talk about that. And we're like, maybe we just like do it that way to start, and then move into a studio space. The podcasts, I think any podcast, the vibe is immensely different when you're in the room together.
Yes.
And you're bouncing off of each other, and there's no delays or anything. I prefer it. I love it so much. So I'm happy that we have an opportunity to shoot here. So thank you guys behind the scenes at Frog City Studios. Yeah, but the Patreon, I'm really excited about it because there's so much room for experimentation.
Yes.
And a lot of it, I think, is going to be a back and forth between you guys and asking you what would be interesting to you. How do we then take those ideas and mold them to what we think would be interesting for us, and kind of find a happy medium where we can do, reviews on specific movies, specific filmmakers, maybe do watch alongs in the future, or hell, if we have the opportunity to do it, maybe even doing like a live event or something. That kind of stuff would be awesome.
Yeah, and it definitely helps. And we're trying to keep it simple. I think that it's $1, $7, $10.
Yeah.
But goals are in mind. There's definitely things we want to do. We want to expand. And also, frankly, we'd love to get to a place down the road where, throw a little money to our guest. Thank you for coming in.
For sure.
Thank you for pretending to be our friend.
Thanks, Mike Flanagan.
Yeah.
Have fun writing Clayface.
Here's $30.
Here's some gas money for you.
Here's some gas money. No, because that has been happening on a couple podcasts I listen to. The Patreon allows them to pay guests. And
yeah, that's awesome.
That's the thing for us who work in the industry and we want to talk to people in the industry. You're not just paying people sometimes for the job. You're also paying the people for the experiences that they went through to be able to do that job.
Yeah.
So that's something
Absolutely.
we definitely want to do and accomplish. So again, thank you so much for those who are patrons already. And if you're not, consider it. Give it a thought. We're definitely active on there.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, we definitely don't want to do a Patreon where it's like, thanks.
Yeah.
And
Thanks.
people are
Bye.
like, it's been 3 months. You haven't done any episodes. We're like, yeah, I don't know.
Well, and I think that's a big part of it too, is setting realistic goals for ourselves
Yes.
and realistic expectations. So it's not, hey, we're going to do 15 things in a week.
Yeah, no, that doesn't work.
Because then it just would not be possible.
No, but and the Discord too, to push that a little bit too, to jump in the Discord, because we talk about movies, obviously all the stuff we're talking about here, video games, stuff like that. But we also bring our guests in. Andy's now in the Discord with us. But we also like to share poster art and stuff like that. So if you like the nitty gritty parts of horror, that's the place to go.
Yeah, and it's also a really great place to get updates on what we are actually doing, or when a new episode drops, or when the episode goes to Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whatever. So definitely check it out.
Thank you so much. Patreon.com/gloriousnightmarespod. What else do we got? Where are we at now?
Homework time,
Homework
baby.
time, baby.
So,
All right.
as you guys know, every other week we assign ourselves or assign each other a movie.
It can be ourselves sometimes.
It's for me. It's been mostly myself, selfishly. Usually a movie, but we're also not afraid to do video games, books, comic books, whatever.
Yeah.
This week I picked something that I once again had not seen before, and it's one of those movies that every time there's a Criterion sale, I go to Barnes and Noble and I pick it up and I go, maybe next time.
Yep.
For no reason other than I'm like, do I really need this right now? Do I actually have the time to watch this movie this week after I buy it? But I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I want to watch this movie. So I picked Cronos from Guillermo del Toro.
Guillermo.
His first feature film, which I did not know.
First feature film, 1992.
Yeah.
Shot in Mexico because he's Mexican.
Yes. What a swing when I saw Ron Perlman's name pop up on the credits.
Oh, man.
I had
From the beginning, he was working with
no
Perlman.
clue.
Oh, yeah.
No clue. So I'm like, Ron Perlman? I thought this movie was all in Spanish. And then, sure enough, the movie starts. You meet the characters. You meet the grandfather and the granddaughter. You're like, okay, where the fuck does Ron Perlman fit into this? Cuts to Ron Perlman in his nice, like, slick back, still, like, dark colored hair.
Yep.
And he's all of a sudden just spitting Spanish. And I'm like, I love this movie. That's
Yeah.
it. I'm in love. I'm in love.
He came out coming out of Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
He's
Oh, that's right. With Linda Hamilton,
Linda
right?
Hamilton. Yep.
Whoa.
Beauty and the Beast show.
Yeah.
Which our moms loved. The original mom show. But they were our age at the time. So
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
this I've seen it before, but it'd been a minute. It'd been a good minute. I do have the Criterion disc. And it's so interesting. It's always great to go find a major director's first film.
Yeah, I love it.
And kind of see like, some of the stuff they still play with, and then some of the stuff where it's like, they haven't brought this in yet, or they haven't done this thing yet. And especially seeing Guillermo del Toro working on what looks like it's reported a $2 million budget at the time. I don't know if that's adjusted now for inflation or anything like that, but it's very interesting to see. I loved how the movie looked. It's very interesting to see him not working with like colored gels.
Yeah.
Things like that.
It's definitely the most muted looking Guillermo del Toro film. And I don't even mean that as a negative.
No.
Not at all. But like the visual style is, you can see it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
You can see how it then elevates to like Pan's Labyrinth, Hellboy, then all the things that follow. There's little bits of it in that movie, but you're right. It's so interesting to see like, oh man, he was already kind of toying with this visual aesthetic, but he really found it in a few more years.
It's also fun to watch. What I was thinking about, granted, it's also because a lot of this takes place in factories.
Yeah.
But I was also thinking about Sam Raimi's Darkman and a little bit of Burton's Batman. A little bit.
Totally.
There's a little bit of that stuff in there too. Because again, factory, so there's lights coming through, shafts of light through the windows. Is it his shortest movie? It's pretty 95 minutes. It's pretty.
That's a good question. I don't know off the top of my head.
Not that he makes chunky boy movies, but I'm trying to think.
Some of them tend to be a little bit longer, yeah.
But he's not like a 2:45 king.
No.
But I'm trying to think. I'm like, is this his shortest?
It might be.
Film.
Because I do feel like I watched Pacific Rim a few days before that, and that definitely seemed like it was longer.
Let me check
around the 2 hour mark. I think the thing that really impressed me with the movie was the visual look for sure, but I thought the story was so interesting and different from anything that I've seen, especially in recent years.
Oh, yeah.
And I know at this point, it's a 33-year-old film, but I love the simplicity of it. There was just something in the simplicity of like, here's this like scarab shaped thing created hundreds of years ago that basically just purifies your blood.
Oh, I love the opening with the voiceover. That's just like, here's what it is.
Here's what it is. Yeah.
You don't they don't get heavy into it. It's just like, there was an alchemist who created a machine.
Yeah.
The machine allowed him to live for 400 years. I'm like, okay.
All right. That's it. That's all I need. I love a movie that can just simply bring me into the story.
Yes.
And I don't have to question the rules or anything, because then you're just sucked into whatever happens after that.
Love the relationship between grandfather and little girl.
Oh my God,
getting
so good.
vibes of Pan's Labyrinth in that. Again, the hallmarks of what Guillermo del Toro would eventually be doing. Stuff with kids. The monster is sympathetic.
Yep.
You feel bad for the monster.
Yeah.
The villains are some form of bureaucracy.
Yeah.
Something like whatever business Ron Perlman and his uncle run. It is unknown to me. It doesn't matter.
No, it does not matter at all.
They seem to be evil businessmen.
Yeah.
Maybe.
One is way more physically abusive to the other. And I'm like, oh man, walking stick right to the face. Cool.
Oh man. But yeah, all the Del Toro isms are in here, and it's just
Yeah.
very interesting to see it in a smaller budget, in a smaller, simple story.
Yeah. And man, it was such a fun. It was one of those movies I was like, man, if I had the time, I would have rewatched this right now, just to soak in more of like what's on screen. Because I feel like for me, I'm the type of watcher that I'm so focused on story that any subsequent watch, now I'm like, I know what happens. I don't really need to tune in like story beats necessarily. Now it's just like I'm observing the frame and seeing what are you doing with the camera, what are you doing with the characters, placements, all that stuff. There was so much, and the body horror aspects of it, of like ripping your skin off and having a whole new skin underneath. God, man, I love all that stuff.
Yeah, the blood,
makeup was so good.
The makeup was really good. The blood looking like they just went bloop.
Yeah.
We're like, all right, action. No spreading it or anything, just little droplets. No, it's great. There's something about 90s indie aesthetic that I really love.
Yeah.
Especially like obviously there's your Tarantinos and stuff like that, but there's also something to like the horror indie of the 90s where it's just like, oh, they're doing some cool shit.
Yeah. Well, in 1992, I feel like was such a good year for just like indies specifically, because you just mentioned Tarantino. You have Reservoir Dogs, El Mariachi. You've got this movie. I'm like, damn.
Linkletter's around, Soderbergh's around. Kevin Smith is just starting to write Clerks.
It's
I think.
that like emergence of those directors.
Can I real quick?
Interesting stuff.
There's a message to any person who wants to make movies. I promise you, don't get me wrong. I also love the RPG fantasy scene. If you have an indie script, write some. I'm not telling you don't write your big fantasy script. I am telling you maybe watch some movies from the 90s. From the 70s, some indie stuff.
Yeah.
Write a script that will have conversations and something like this, like $2 million. Don't get me wrong, that is expensive. Like, I don't have $2 million.
Yeah.
But it's something you can make, you know what I mean, with like a couple friends.
Totally.
You know what I mean? Granted, I don't think I can make the Scarab Beetle effect, which that looks sick.
That looks sick.
I love that.
It was so good.
And you can see like the clear line from that to Mimic.
Absolutely. Yeah.
No, it was great. It was really fun to watch, rewatch for me. But yeah, God, Del Toro, he's got the spice.
Knows what he's doing.
It made me pretty much right after I watched it. I was like, I gotta rewatch Crimson Peak.
I actually have not seen it yet.
Well, I picked up the Arrow Blu-ray, which apparently is out of print. But Barnes & Noble didn't.
Are you serious?
Barnes & Noble doesn't know that.
Oh.
So I might have done a little order.
I'm not going to go to Barnes & Noble.
hoping I'm not going to get an email that's going to be like, oh,
extra
that's
$200. I'm sorry.
No, that'll be like, oh, it's actually out of stock.
Yeah.
We thought we had it.
Right. Oh, God.
We will return your money. That's happened here and there.
Yeah.
But at the moment, yeah, it looks like, at least on other websites, the 4K Crimson Peak is not in stock.
The moment this show ends, I'm ordering it wherever I can find it.
I still got to rewatch Nightmare Alley.
Haven't seen that one either.
Man, we might need to do a Del Toro.
Yeah.
Del Toro
I know,
premium.
it's weird. It's like I have just like certain blind spots with Del Toro, because like after Shape of Water, it was that. It was Crimson Peak. Pinocchio I did see. But yeah, for whatever reason, those two. I think I also foolishly let myself be too influenced by people around me who were like, yeah, I didn't really like them. And I was like, all right, I'll get to them at some point.
Yeah.
And I feel like with Del Toro specifically, he is one of those filmmakers that you kind of have to be on his wavelength.
Mhm.
Like I sometimes feel like with a general audience, they don't necessarily click into it sometimes.
Depending,
because
yeah.
even Shape of Water, I feel like a lot of people generally enjoyed it, but some people were like, it's fine. I watched it, I was like, I love that movie.
I was glad that won Best Picture.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I really loved it. I thought it was so good. So I do feel like there's like a little bit, you have to kind of like be tuned into what his style is and the types of stories that he tells and how he tells them. So now I'm like, I'm not listening to anyone ever. And now I'm like, Frankenstein needs to be in a theater, Netflix. I don't care what
Well,
you
yeah.
gotta
Speaking
do.
of Frankenstein, the fact that like the grandfather at one point starts getting sewn up and has
Yeah.
sort of a Frankenstein
Look
to
to
him.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, great pick. Changing gears.
What a segue.
Completely.
Speaking of Franken.
My homework.
Holy shit.
Frank Henenlotter's Frankenhooker, exploitation horror in the best sense. A young scientist who's already a genius at minute one.
Yep.
Talking about no setup.
Yeah.
Just second one, he's got a brain in a jar with an eyeball in it that's maybe connected to a camera.
Follow. You're like,
But don't
sure,
worry,
man.
that never comes back.
No, never. I was like, is he going to input this brain in? No. Okay, cool.
No. He's at a birthday party for his girlfriend's father. He has made a super lawnmower that then kills his girlfriend.
Final Destination Bloodline style.
Oh, 100%. Rips her apart. We then jump ahead maybe a couple months later.
Yeah.
It turns out he has saved her severed head and plans to put her back together using the body parts of sex workers.
Yeah.
Frankenhooker, 1991, rated R.
Oh my God. So my girlfriend went out of town with her sister this weekend.
Good time to watch it.
Well, and the best part was like, yeah, I have this homework. I gotta watch Cronos, and I need to watch Frankenhooker. She would not get off the topic of this movie. The amount of text messages I got. You gotta watch what? Frankenhooker. What's it about? I have no idea. I've never seen it.
About a Frankenhooker.
Yeah. So she and her sister started looking up the details in the car and was sending me stuff like, I need to know what this movie's about. I need to know how it was. Can you tell me how it was? Did you watch it yet? How was it? And I was like, whoa, relax, calm down. I have not watched this movie yet.
Should I be it for Halloween?
Yeah,
Should
and
I
was
be
like,
Frankenhooker?
Jesus Christ, man. So I obviously I had not seen it, so I had no idea what they were finding as they were researching it. And then I'm watching the movie, and I'm like, okay, this is kind of what I was expecting based on the very short synopsis and the fact that it was listed as like a horror comedy. I thought, okay, cool. And then we get into it, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
this is why she was texting me 1,000 times about it.
I love it.
It was so fun. It was so fun and ridiculous.
So there's a bit of a slow build after the amazing death.
Yes.
So there's a bit of a slow build with him putting it together, having a conversation with his mom.
Yeah.
But there's still some fun stuff. Him drilling holes in his own head to make himself relax.
Oh my God. I was a little surprised because it feels like it is the type of movie to do this where maybe and maybe it would have just felt too slapstick to that point of just like blood coming out of him.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
him
yeah.
just being like, like completely ignoring that. I was like, no, it's not in there. Fine. Totally fine.
Yeah. And he ends up getting the idea through doing that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'll just get body parts from women who are selling their bodies. And he enters the 1990 Ninja Turtles New York. Like on the other side of that
I didn't
warehouse.
even think about that. That's completely it.
On the other side of the warehouse where the kids are skateboarding is Zorro and his prostitutes. But I want to highlight the actress playing Frankenhooker, who I thought was so good and is completely like today embraces like that role and that thing. She's only ever done like one or two other things.
Really?
But Patty Mullen, she was a Penthouse model prior to this. I think she was even like whatever their equivalent of Playmate of the Year was. And she talked about the audition process and getting into the movie. And then she revealed she could do that split lip thing.
Oh, I love that. That was so fun.
And I guess that helped her get the role.
Really?
And it was like, do that when we're doing this. So once we get into the main character and the movie, it knows what it is.
Oh,
The fact
1 gazillion %.
the fact that the weatherman is talking about like there's going to be a thunderstorm in 2 days. Any of you mad scientists out there have ideas? But yeah, it is. And Frank Henenlotter himself has said, like, I'm not a horror director, I'm an exploitation director. But he's very tongue in cheek when he says it. He has made, Brain Damage, as well as the Basket Case trilogy. In Search of Darkness, the documentary about the 90s films, they talk about Frankenhooker. And he was like, I know what I make.
Yeah.
He seems to be a very
I know what I'm doing.
nonsense. And the movie has that sense of just fun to it the entire time. But yeah, so the exploitation, it's all this ample nudity.
Yeah.
Much of nudity.
Yeah.
Violence, cursing, it's all there. Once he makes, for lack of a better term, the super crack.
My God.
From that point on, the movie and brings back Frankenhooker. It is, what a roller coaster. And
my God.
I loved it.
I was not expecting any of that. And I'm watching the movie going like, all right. I think the thing for me, because I don't expose myself enough to those types of films. Exploitation-y type of stuff. It takes me a minute for my brain to like calibrate to it and get into it. In the beginning, I'm like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to be into this. 10 minutes go by, 15 minutes go by. And then I think it is when the character gets killed. I was like, okay, I think I'm now into this.
Yeah.
And then he starts drilling himself in the head and he's playing with the brain. And then we get to that scene with the super crack and they start exploding. I was okay, this won me over.
The screaming head hitting Zorro in the face. Oh, it's so good.
It's so good.
And then, Frankenhooker, because she's made of those body parts, now thinks she is.
Yes.
And she starts throwing out just like, she's like, want a date?
Yeah.
You got any money?
Oh, it's so good. And I love that the moment that she starts walking out. Well, first of all, she like smacks him out of the way.
Yeah.
He passes out and she starts walking out
They
the
give
house.
her the big Frankenstein boots.
Big Frankenstein boots. She's like barely able to make it. And then she turns towards camera. Does the face and keeps going. I was like, this is amazing. This is so fun.
And just makes her way back.
Yeah.
And it's so wild. I think like if you're not familiar with like exploitation horror to this extent, especially knowing it's a comedy, because there's exploitation horror that is hard to watch, that can be gruesome, that shock value for not comedic sake, but just to be like, this is gonna be fucked up. Frankenhooker is trying to be comedic, and I think it succeeds. Especially, I would say, the very last moment where she gets a little bit of revenge is so good.
Yep. Very good.
And then the creatures that come out of that vat. Yeah. These things that are clearly puppets.
Yep.
And I love that.
So
it's
good.
So charming.
Well, and I think there is a level of charm to these very handmade movies.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like we are so spoiled nowadays. And I feel like also there are filmmakers who, whether they acknowledge it or not, there is a little bit of like going back to those nostalgic things of exploring, making these movies a little bit more handcrafted than the era of making everything sort of like a CG thing. Because I forgot to bring this up. I also watched Mama, the movie by Andy Muschietti with Jessica Chastain.
Yes.
And that movie, the third act is all basically a big CG spectacle. And I was like, man, I almost wish that they would have done this more practically, because I feel like it loses me. And even though this movie is now 30 some odd years old, and yes, it's clearly puppetry, there is that charm to it. There's that realness to it.
Well, and I think that's the thing. I think the difference is CGI. CGI tends to, obviously depending on the artist and anybody who does CG work, certainly not besmirching your work, but I think there can be a push from whether it be filmmakers or studios, make it look real or as real as it can. And that's where you get the uncanny valley. I think making a puppet that is one boob, a mouth, and two legs coming out with hair on the side, nobody, I think, is aiming for realism.
No.
I think you are purposely, and I think that's the difference, is a lot of times these puppets, people knew they didn't look real. I think it was more about like, will it grab people and is it interesting? And that's sort of where that artistry lies. And so I think there is a very handcrafted element to this movie. It's a fun watch. Both these movies, 90 minutes.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, and I think Frankenhooker was even shorter.
Maybe like 85.
Yeah, it's like 80 minutes long, yeah.
I love 80s horror. It was all about like 82 to 85 minutes.
Yeah, it's
so
nice.
good. So yeah, now you have experienced the world of Frank Henenlotter.
Yeah. and it was great.
Yeah.
It was so fun. Yeah, I really liked. I think it just gave me an appreciation for those exploitation style films, and I think the thing that really helped me was that it is not, gruesome horror, that it's exploitive. The fact that it is a comedy,
Yes.
really just makes you feel much more at ease as to like the topics that they're covering or the types of topics that they're discussing, and because you just take it a little bit more lighthearted than you would something that's just gruesome for the sake of being gruesome.
And there's something to be said, like, again, we talked about the Saw series. There's something to be said about, although I guess those weren't gruesome for the sake of being gruesome. Sometimes they were. There was a couple where I'm like, but generally, yeah, there's something to be said about like the French Extreme that was happening in the early 2000s, where that was just like, how far can we push it?
Yeah.
How much can we put an audience through before they're like, oh my God, you know what I mean?
Enough.
Yeah. And there are some of those movies I really, really did enjoy. But yeah, there's something to these movies. I think Stuart Gordon films as well, like Reanimator and stuff like that, where it's like the violence is so insane and puppetry and all this other stuff that it becomes like fun. And they're purposely fun. Like, their dialogue is very either witty or silly or things like that. So yeah, I had a great
you're not
time.
meant to take it so seriously.
No, it's a perfect. There's movies where I think they are, and it's not to say don't pay attention, but there's movies that are perfect to put on at a party.
Bazillion%.
As long as it's all
There's no
adults.
kids.
Yeah. I don't know if you want to put on Frankenhooker at your nephew's birthday.
I will not be putting that on this Halloween when my niece is there.
So did your girlfriend watch it? Do you know?
No,
like,
she
not with
hasn't.
you,
No,
but has she otherwise?
no.
Would you recommend?
I would watch it with her.
Yeah.
I honestly think that the movie would end and she would go, I didn't really like that, but I like that it didn't take itself so seriously and it was kind of silly.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's not necessarily her vibe. That type of that style of film. So, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe she would actually think it's really funny and charming and silly.
She's like, it's my new favorite movie.
Maybe.
Number one with a bullet.
That would be crazy.
Well, so let us get into next homework. Adam, what foreign vampire movie are you going to recommend for me next week?
I'm not going to do a vampire movie. This is actually going to tie into, though, us doing a rewatch of the Dead trilogy.
Okay.
I want to do Dawn of the Dead from Zack Snyder and James Gunn.
Ooh, okay.
I haven't watched that in I think it's probably been like, because I bought the Shout Blu-ray and then the 4K came out, so I did a swap, but I haven't had a chance to crack it open and watch it yet. So I want to watch that because I remember when I initially watched it, it was not in theaters. It was on Blu-ray years and years and years and years ago. I really liked it.
Yeah, I saw it in theaters. That was because that came out the week I turned 17. So that was my first like R-rated by myself. I get to buy the ticket.
Yeah. Amazing. And truthfully, like I think up to that point when I saw that film, the only thing that Zack Snyder had out in theaters or had out at theaters at that point was maybe 300. I don't even think Watchmen had come out yet. So we've had a whole, 12, 13, 14 years of Zack Snyder movies. A lot of them have obviously leaned into very heavy science fiction fantasy with the superhero stuff, Rebel Moon. So I would love to just rewatch that movie today. And, he obviously also did Army of the Dead, which I was not a big fan of. So I would love to see like how this holds up in comparison to obviously the original, but also like all the other stuff that he's made. Yeah.
No, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I am sticking on the indie train, but more recent indie. I am going with Starry Eye.
Oh, I have not seen that.
Yeah, Starry Eye. It's the director's team who did the Pet Sematary remake.
Oh, okay.
It was the film prior to that.
Okay, got it.
But it was a little indie movie that I think kind of had a pretty big boost. I think it's on Tubi.
Okay.
But yeah, Starry Eye.
Nice.
So different double bill. Yeah, Dawn of the Dead remake.
Yeah.
And Starry Eye. And again, if you're in our Patreon or Discord and you've seen those, come talk to us about it. Let us know.
Absolutely. It's also worth mentioning that as of this recording today, it is the 50th anniversary of Jaws.
Yes.
Which, crazy. 50 years. What the hell?
Yeah.
That to me is one of those movies that one, anytime I watch it, it still has the same impact as it did when I first saw it at like 8 years old.
Oh, sure. 100%.
Really amazing. I'm also going to a screening of it later today. So that'll be a lot of fun. If you have not, for whatever reason, seen Jaws, what the hell are you doing?
I think we can do a larger Jaws discussion.
Totally.
Because I want to watch that documentary.
Yes.
That just popped out. And so I think on the next episode, we'll do a larger.
Yeah, absolutely. Next episode, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about 28 Years Later. We'll talk about our top 5 as well. We're going to table that for the next episode. It's the top 5 most shocking moments in horror. That will be a lot of fun as well. And make sure you guys check out the Patreon. That's going to be a really cool way for us to just experiment with other stuff.
Yeah.
And the Discord will be a nice way for us to also just keep you updated on what we're doing.
Yeah, because next week we will start doing the Patreon thing of assigning you a movie death.
Yeah.
We will do that next episode. That is in the $10 tier, I believe, if you are in the $10 tier. We're not going to do all 3 who are currently in that tier at once. We're gonna space it out. We're gonna space it out. We got to keep it here, baby. We got to keep it here, baby.
Absolutely. But guys, of course, let us know also if you're watching any other horror movies. Let us know how you're feeling about them, which ones you're diving into. I know a lot of folks this week are going to be checking out 28 Years Later. So share your thoughts on Discord, also on social media. Tag us, follow us on Glorious Nightmares Pod at Instagram. And we're going to continue posting stuff. I should reshare my 28 Years Later video on Glorious Nightmares where it belongs.
And also, actually, the Discord's not just for movies either. If you, the new Stephen King book just came out, and I'm going to start on that, the new King book. So, I'm always looking for a book club. I'm always looking for a good spooky book club.
I know. At some point, Cameron is going to assign me a book, and I'm going to be pleasantly surprised, probably by what I end up reading. Because
we'll probably end up doing it when we have like a little chunky break. On a time where it's like, okay, we're going to record our Patreon episode, and then we'll be
good to go.
2 or 3 weeks off.
Yeah.
Now we go read a book.
Yeah. There you go. Perfect. 'Cause I don't know if I can do it in 2 weeks. I don't know.
Frankenhooker, the novelization.
I'd read it. But guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Check out all that stuff, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.